All right, I am so ready to talk some Sixers basketball on today's 76ers now. But first, do you think Philadelphia needs to make a trade? If you do, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. If not, I want you to comment why. And with that, let's talk Mikal Bridges here on the show. Welcome into 76ers Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for hanging out here with us on this beautiful Tuesday. I will never forget draft night a few years ago when the Philadelphia 76ers drafted Mikal Bridges out of Villanova, hometown kid, went to Great Valley, went to Villanova, and then they traded him away after he put on a Sixers hat for Zaire Smith, who never did anything in his entire NBA career. So could Philadelphia here right their wrongs and bring Bridges home? Let's talk about it here. Pretty cool story. I went to Temple University, and while I was there, covered Temple basketball, covered Temple football, but sometimes when teams playing in the high school circuit made deep playoff runs, they would play in North Philly at the Liacouras Center. And I remember watching Mikal Bridges play for Great Valley one night, and he had committed to play at Villanova at the time, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember watching him. Skinny kid, really wiry. And I was like, man, if Jay Wright wants him, that means that he can ball, because I've always been a big fan of Jay Wright. I never would have imagined, though, in looking at the body type then and the game, that he would develop into a borderline all-star. I mean, shoot, last year he added a handle to his game. Mid-range. He's always had that 3-and-D element to his game, but he's become better than that, and it's all because he's been in the lab working. And if you remember the trade on draft night several years ago, Zaire Smith to the Sixers, Mikal Bridges to the Phoenix Suns, and I just couldn't believe that they traded the rights to Mikal Bridges, especially when his mom was working for the organization. He played under Jay Wright at Villanova, winning a natty, and then you trade him away. He would be a perfect fit for the Sixers team right now. And that's why I am all in on trying to make this deal happen. Since he got to Brooklyn after he was a little bit overshadowed in Phoenix, and when you're playing alongside a player like Devin Booker, you just don't have as many opportunities to really display your full offensive arsenal. You add on to the fact that Chris Paul was also there as the primary ball handler. He was put in a position where he was a 3-and-D player. But look at the jump that he made with the Brooklyn Nets compared to how he was playing with the Phoenix Suns. 56 games with Phoenix, 27 with the Nets, and his points per game, they go up from 17 plus to 26 plus. Rebounds a tick up. He's always a really good defensive player, has a knack for making plays in the passing lanes, field goal percentage at 47.5%, three-point numbers with some volume there, almost 38%. He jumped from 13.5 field goal attempts per game to 18.5 field goal attempts per game. And what's notable is that there's a jump in the workload offensively, yet the field goal numbers went up and the three-point numbers still very elite. He was able to maintain his efficiency. What surprised me, too, with his role with the Nets is that he could kind of get to his spot in the mid-range, a little bit slippery there, and because he has that length and he has those long arms, high release point, he's able to get his shot off against a lot of different defenders. So regardless of the variety of defenses that teams throw at him, he's still been an efficient player, and he's been able to finish. 2021, 2022, all defensive first team. That could really help out this team. He doesn't need to be a primary ball handler. He can play off ball. That's his role, right? And on this team, you don't want him taking shots away from Tyrese Maxey as well as Joel Embiid. And if you look at the career numbers, the efficiency has always been the story here. And that's why this trade has ended up being so disastrous for Philadelphia. Zaire Smith had that poppy seed allergy. He was on his deathbed. Obviously, we were hoping that he was okay. But from a pure basketball standpoint, Bridges, star. Zaire Smith, currently playing in the G League. 23.5 points per game, almost 43% from the field, 40% from three against the Sixers in the NBA playoffs. He has started this year off a little bit slow, but of late, Bridges has been able to turn it around. And if there's a player that you believe in, It's Bridges. And you think about the size, right? 6'6", 209 pounds. And you look at the numbers here. This is a slow start for Mikal Bridges. Almost 22 points per, 5.9 rebounds, more than a steal. He's still connecting on about 47% of his all-around shots and just under 35% from three-point range. On this team with Maxey and Embiid, he's going to get more looks, maybe less shots, but with more looks and more open looks, you have to imagine that those numbers would go up even more. If he's so good, why would the Nets trade him, though? I know a lot of you are posing that question to yourselves and probably asking that to me. Chase, there's no way that the Brooklyn Nets get rid of him. The case for the Nets here, Brooklyn has to be realistic, about their future here. Their ceiling with Bridges as their best player is a second-round asset. Or a second-round exit. While I really like him, he's not the asset, I should say, that's going to lead them to an NBA championship. That being said, trading for Bridges from the Sixers' point of view will be costly. The Nets have already declined 3 firsts in a trade for him. Bridges is an all-star. He's an all-defensive level player. So in order to bring a player like that in, with where the Nets are as an organization, trying to compile as much talent as possible, Daryl Morey is going to have to put his poker chips to the middle of the table. Now, coming up next on the show, we're going to break down, dissect, and take a look at what a Mikal Bridges trade might look like. But first, brand new sponsor here on 76ers Now is Factor Meals. Get 50% off if you use the code NBAChat50. And look, it's the holiday season. All of us are really busy. And you might be looking for nutritious, convenient meals to keep you energized on some of these jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service, can help you fuel up fast for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, you'll eat well, and you'll stay on track with your healthy lifestyle while tackling all of your holiday shopping to-dos. When you're too busy running around to plan lunch, Factor has you covered with the lunch go-to. Effortless, wholesome meals like grain bowls and salad toppers that are ready to eat when you're on the go. No microwave required. Looking for calorie-conscious options over the holidays that also taste great? Try delicious, dietitian-approved, calorie-smart meals with around or less than 550 calories per serving. Factor has everything that you need. So one more time, 50% off. Code NBAChat50 at factormeals.com/NBAChat50. Now, what would it cost to bring in Mikal Bridges to Philadelphia? Bring the kid home. I am fully aboard that train like I'm going from Exton to downtown Philadelphia. Here's one Bridges trade idea that piqued our interest, and it's somewhat notable. Philadelphia receiving Bridges, the Nets get KJ Martin, Jaden Springer, Marcus Morris, 2 first-round picks, and then 2 first-round pick swaps. This, of course, notable because Brooklyn reportedly has turned down a couple of deals that included 3 first-round picks. You put 4 into the equation here. You get a savvy defensive player in Springer, and then you get an expiring deal with both Morris as well as KJ Martin. So would you make this trade? If you're in the shoes of Daryl Morey, I want you to type A for accept or D for decline. I'm trying to move mountains in order to bring Bridges in because I believe he's a player that moves the needle to win a championship and a much better fit than a player like Zach LaVine. For me, I accept it. And you think about the impact that he would be able to have. He helps you defensively. He doesn't take shots away from Tyrese Maxey or Joel Embiid. He can hover around that three-point arc. He can get his shot. He has the bounce and the athleticism to be able to get to the cup, the length to be able to finish amongst the trees in traffic around the rim. He impacts the game at a very, very high level, does Mikal Bridges on both ends of the floor. He's an effective and efficient scorer, and that's what the Sixers need here. They don't need a Zach LaVine who's under club control, who's really expensive, who isn't as efficient as an offensive player as a Bridges is. He takes shots away from Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, which you don't want, and he doesn't play a lick of defense. For Bridges, he can play on or off ball at a really high level. And here on the show, we've talked about how Philadelphia needs to get a second ball handler. I'm not saying that Bridges is going to be that, but he at least gives you another option to handle the rock. And then a true lockdown perimeter defender. What happened in Game 6 and 7 for Philadelphia last year? They did not have a player on the Sixers roster who could stay in front of and guard Jason Tatum. Who could do that? Bridges would be able to do that. And most importantly, maybe for Philadelphia, yes, you give up those assets. 2 firsts and 2 futures, right? But he would be on a team-friendly, long-term deal and a really quality player who's still young under team control. You look at the salary in 2023-2024, you kidding me? $21.7 million? A lot cheaper than a player like Zach LaVine. 2024-2025, 23.3. 2025-2026, 24.9. Zach LaVine's making more. A player like OG Anunoby is on an expiring contract and might demand more than this. So the contract here with the fit, with the play, is what makes him a very attractive asset. My overall take, as we start to kind of summarize this conversation here, Bridges makes the Sixers a true championship-level contender. And that is well worth whatever draft capital you must give up. If you're in a dogfight against Milwaukee in the playoffs, the Miami Heat, or the Boston Celtics, I want another dog in addition to having the talent level of Maxey, Embiid. Let's give credit to Tobias Harris. You now can bring in Kelly Oubre Jr., who might return on Friday against Boston, by the way, back in off the bench, and he fortifies that bench unit. And Mikal Bridges just checks off so many boxes for me in a very logical basketball sense. Would he make the Sixers a championship favorite? I want you to give me a Y for yes or an N for no, and I'll tell you this. If the Sixers make a move like this, or whenever they make a move, we will cover it. We're north of 13,000 subscribers. Let's continue to grow the channel here on 76ers Now.